So welcome, welcome, welcome. We saw people from Argentina, Dubai here, where else? California, North Carolina, people all over the world. Thank you for joining us. We have a very good friend. She's a New York Times bestselling author. She's the co-creator of the tapping, is it the tapping solution or the tapping app?
The Tapping Solution app.
The Tapping Solution app, which is an amazing, amazing tool. How many of you, real quick in the comment section, are familiar with the tapping solution? Just real quick, how many of you, let's see, Cape Town, Dubai, UK, just give it 1 second. Holland, how many of you are familiar with the tapping solution? Or could we say emotional freedom tapping for people who?
Emotional freedom technique, EFT, meridian tapping. There's a lot of names. It's when you tap on acupressure points to relieve stress.
Got it. Very cool. Very cool. Well, let's dive in here. There's a few people saying, yeah, I love it. Okay, cool. So we've got some fans, and then we've got lots of never heard of it. Yes.
That's great.
We are glad you're here if you've never heard of it. Excited that you're here. So Jessica's one of the co-creators of the tapping solution, and she's going to be sharing with us. Oh, Gabby uses it a lot. Yep. She's going to be sharing with us right here, right now, how to go through this process together. So we're going to walk through it together, and we're going to do some tapping, and you know, you're going to help us get this experience. So lots of people, it's new to them. Some people are familiar. Either way, join in with us, and we're going to walk through this process together. So for people who aren't familiar, could you give us a little bit of background on it, just so they can kind of understand how this came together and what it's used for?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's great to start off by talking about stress, an experience that a lot of us are having right now, especially with this pandemic and being home, and our whole lives feel a little bit upside down. When we have an anxious thought, it's not just an experience that we have in our head. We feel it with our whole body. We can feel tightness in our chest and a feeling in our stomach, and even get bad headaches or back pain. Our body really feels stress. And when we're having this anxious response, the reason that we're feeling this way is because there's a part of the brain called the amygdala that's firing off that fight or flight response.
1 second. They said they can't see you on Instagram. We might have you unjoin and rejoin real quick.
Sure. I can do that real quick. I'll do it right now. We can't see Jessica. Okay, perfect. Let me do that. I'll be right back.
And if for some reason, I can't hear you. 1 second. She'll be right back. And here she comes.
All right. Can you guys see me?
Now we can see you. Crystal clear.
Awesome. Awesome. So I'll just jump right back in. When we are having this stress response, this anxiety, there is part of our brain, the amygdala, that's firing off this fight or flight response. This is a very helpful response if we are on a hike and we see a rattlesnake and all of a sudden we have to react. We have an overproduction of cortisol and our whole body instantly reacts to that stress so that we can fight and we can flee. Very helpful response, except right now, what's going on? We're reading the news, our life feels upside down, we're hearing about friends who are getting this virus, and now, even though right now and right here we're safe, we can still be having that same response as if our life is in danger. And in this moment, you can't fight this virus or flee this virus. We're having this old programmed response to a threat that now is causing this chronic anxiety, which impacts our immune system and our ability to also be resourceful and creative. I mean, right now is a moment where we need to be grounded and problem solve. And it's very difficult when we feel the very physical reaction to this anxiety. And the challenge with all of these feelings is that if we just try to think our way out of the problem, it can be very difficult because when that amygdala is firing off, that prefrontal cortex, which is that part of the brain that's about reason and logic, doesn't have our resources. It's not turned on because in the moment, what do we want to do? We want to keep ourselves safe. So with tapping, what we're really doing is we're letting the brain know, we're using the body to let the brain know that we are safe. So by thinking a negative thought and really focusing on it and stimulating these acupressure points that are on your face and on your body, you're rewiring your reaction so that you can think that negative thought, but you're present in your body, you're feeling calm. When we feel calm and empowered and we think about a negative thought or we see that news, we are in control. We can navigate the situation. It doesn't mean it's easy, but it means we find more ease and we can connect to how resourceful we are and how creative we are. So again, it's really this incredible stress relief technique that uses the body.
Powerful, very powerful. And that's something I was sharing with people. I made a little triangle for them and I said, stress lives in three places, the mind, the emotions, and the body. I said, the problem a lot of us have is, if a giant animal snuck up right behind us and drooled on the back of our neck and went, if we tried to use our mind to get out of it, like, I'm happy, people like me, I'm going to have a great life. Like, we can say positive stuff to ourselves, but like you said, the disconnection from our prefrontal cortex leaves us in a position where all of a sudden our body's still stuck back there, frozen, even though our mind is trying to progress out of it. And we just get stuck. So we have to have something. And instead of trying to get out of the mind or the emotions first, we have to have the ability to swoop over to the physical body and say, how can we get this stress out of the body? Then let it work back to the mind. And I think this is one of the most powerful ways to do that with tapping. It's unbelievable. And so I really, really love this.
Yes, no, it's so true. And I think the challenge that so many of us face, especially people who are listening to this podcast, to this Instagram Live, we are people who love personal development. We know the empowering reframes. And so sometimes when we are anxious, we kind of fight ourselves and we think, well, I shouldn't be upset and I shouldn't be panicked. I should think this way because we know where we want to move towards. But like you said, it's hard to do when the body is in that state of panic. So tapping is this combination of these Chinese acupressure points, but also modern psychology in the sense that we are beginning to discover the power of accepting how you feel, the power of saying, even though I am anxious, I honor how I feel, I accept these feelings. When you bring that component with the tapping, you stop that fight in your mind of how you think you should feel, and you allow yourself to be with your feelings, to accept them, and then have the power to move through them with something like tapping. This is my hope, is that by the time we finish our little session together, that everyone who's watching it, feels comfortable enough that you have this tool that you can begin to use. But let me say something really important before we start. Oftentimes we learn something new and we make it more difficult than it needs to be. We want to do it perfectly. We want to master it. This is such an incredibly forgiving technique. Like, you can remember half the points and still really relax your body. So I want you to go into this learning experience with an open mind and permission to experiment now and down the line when you're feeling anxious. So when it comes to tapping, the first thing to do is to get clear on what's bothering you. And it's as simple as taking a deep breath and asking yourself, what am I feeling? What's going on? Sometimes it's very clear. Other times it's simply a physical experience of, I am just so anxious. So what you do to start is you tap on the side of the hand, and it doesn't matter what side of the hand you tap on. So everyone who's watching this, we can't see you, but come on, go ahead, tap along. No one's watching. So tap on the side of the hand. And what you say is the setup statement, which is, even though, and you state what's going on, even though I have this anxiety, I accept how I feel, or I honor how I feel. It's a moment of acceptance. It's setting you up for the rest of the process. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through the rest of the points, and then we'll actually jump into an experience. So the next point after the side of the hand is the eyebrow point, and it's where the hair of your eyebrow begins. And you can tap on both sides, or you can tap on one side or the other. It doesn't matter. These acupressure points are symmetrical, so whichever side of the body is perfect. So again, we're tapping 2 fingers, slight tap, tap, tap. Then moving to the side of the eye, you're right on the bone. And then we have underneath the eye on the bone. And a little side note is, as we're tapping here, you might notice that when you're stressed, you go like this, or you put your hand on your chest. We intuitively often use these points. The next one is underneath the nose, between the nose and the upper lip. And then we have underneath the mouth, and it's the crease between the chin and the bottom lip. Then we have the collarbone point, which you can feel it's between your ribs. What you can also do is you feel the U-shaped bone under your throat and go down an inch and over an inch in either direction, and you're gonna get the point. If you're feeling confused, you don't know if you got it, you can also use your whole hand and just tap on your chest and you'll stimulate that point. Perfect. Then we have underneath the arm, which is a hand width from your armpit. There you go. And then we have the top of the head. Great. So those are the 9 points. And no matter what you're facing, you can use those 9 points while you address how you feel. When it comes to tapping, you always start with where you are. You don't want to jump to the positive. You want to just have an experience, be honest with how you feel. When you're feeling better, like on a scale of 0 to 10, if you're finding yourself that you're below a 5 with that feeling, you can begin to move to something more empowering. Remember, tapping sends this calming signal to the brain. So if you're having a stressful thought and you're tapping, you're relaxing the body, you're able to take a step back and really look at things in a new way. But if you're already calm and you think a positive thought, you can relax into it. So that's really what we're doing here, starting with where we are first, and then we can move to something more empowering if it feels right. If all you do is tap while you're honest with how you feel, you're going to have a breakthrough. Does that make sense so far? Yes, perfect. Okay, so let's have an experience all together. Right now, for many of us, life feels a little upside down. We don't have, if you have a child, most people don't have childcare and they're trying to work, and there's a lot of fear and uncertainty. Let's just take a moment and check in with how our body is physically doing with everything that's going on. So take a nice deep breath and notice where you're holding tension and anxiety in your body. Is it in your throat, your chest, your stomach? Take a moment and notice where you're feeling it. And then on a scale from 0 to 10, how intense does that feel? So 10 is really intense, 0, you're feeling fine. If you'd like to comment, you can let us know where you are right now. And someone just said, I'm eating too much. We'll address that a little later because tapping can absolutely help. So you have your number, you know how the anxiety is showing up in your body, and we're gonna do some tapping. We're gonna have an experience. So again, let's take a nice deep breath in. And if you can, really commit to doing this. It might mean that you have to put your phone somewhere so you have your hands free. And someone is saying that I'm frozen again. So let me know if you can see me before we jump in. Oops, let's see.
She will be right back.
All right, hold on, sorry. Okay, and I'm back. And so, Jairek, it wasn't you speaking before. So feel free to jump in at any time. Yeah, no pressure. So, all right, so we have that from a 0 to 10 scale. And let's start doing some tapping together. So tapping on the side of the hand, repeat after me, either out loud or in your mind. So Jairek, if you'd like to repeat after me out loud, that would be great.
I'm not afraid of freezing anymore.
Okay, perfect. Let's do it. Okay. Even though life feels overwhelming.
Even though life feels overwhelming.
I accept all these feelings.
I accept all these feelings.
And I give my body permission to relax.
And I give my body permission to relax.
Even though I'm feeling all this tension in my body.
Even though I'm feeling all this tension in my body.
Because life feels overwhelming.
Because life feels overwhelming.
I honor how I feel.
I honor how I feel.
And I give my body permission to relax.
And I give my body permission to relax.
Even though I've been feeling all of this anxiety.
Even though I've been feeling all of this anxiety.
I accept these feelings.
I accept these feelings.
As I begin to relax my body.
As I begin to relax my body.
Great. So now we're going to tap on the eyebrow point and simply repeat after me. We're going to give a voice to this anxiety to release this tension, okay? So tapping on the eyebrow point, all of this anxiety. Jairek, repeating after me, all of this anxiety.
Oh, all this anxiety. Sorry, we have a friend from Brazil that doesn't have arms, and he was somehow typing and saying, how do you type?
I don't know.
I don't have arms. That's okay. I think if he mentally imagines releasing all this anxiety, go ahead.
Try it. So side of the eye, life feels upside down.
Life feels upside down.
Under the eye, and it's hard to relax.
And it's hard to relax.
Under the nose, with so much going on.
With so much going on.
Under the mouth, all of this stress.
All of this stress.
Collarbone, all of this tension.
All of this tension.
Under the arm, all of this uncertainty.
All of this uncertainty.
Top of the head, feeling this anxiety in my body.
Feeling this anxiety in my body.
Eyebrow, feeling the weight of the world.
Feeling the weight of the world.
Side of the eye, it's safe to be honest with my feelings.
It's safe to be honest with my feelings.
Under the eye, all of this anxiety.
All of this anxiety.
Under the nose, all of this tension.
All of this tension.
Under the mouth, it feels impossible to relax.
It feels impossible to relax.
Collarbone, with everything that's going on.
With everything that's going on.
Under the arm, I honor how hard this has been.
I honor how hard this has been.
Top of the head, and I'm open to the idea.
And I'm open to the idea.
Eyebrow, that it's safe to begin to relax.
That it's safe to begin to relax.
Side of the eye, even before anything changes.
Even before anything changes.
Under the eye, I give my body permission to relax.
I give my body permission to relax.
Under the nose, even though I don't have all of the answers.
Even though I don't have all of the answers.
Under the mouth, right now and right here.
Right now and right here.
Collarbone, I am safe.
I am safe.
Under the arm, right now and right here.
Right now and right here.
Top of the head, I am safe.
I am safe.
Eyebrow, I honor how hard this has been.
I honor how hard this has been.
Side of the eye, and I allow my body to relax.
And I allow my body to relax.
Under the eye, even though so much is uncertain.
Even though so much is uncertain.
Under the nose, it's safe to relax.
It's safe to relax.
Under the mouth, I am more powerful than I realize.
I am more powerful than I realize.
Collarbone, I have been through so much.
I have been through so much.
Under the arm, and I'll make it through this.
And I'll make it through this.
Top of the head, giving my body permission to relax.
Giving my body permission to relax.
Okay, take a nice deep breath in. And exhale. And now just move your shoulders a little bit. Just tap into your body, connect with that feeling, and just notice that tension that you felt before. Maybe you notice that you can breathe a little deeper, your shoulders are a little lower, and check in again on that 0 to 10 scale. Was there any shift? And sometimes what happens as we begin to tap, we gain more clarity as to what's really bothering us, what we really need to address. And it's this invitation to be able to be more specific as we focus on how we're feeling and we're tapping, knowing that what we're doing is we're just letting our brain know that we're safe. Even though we don't have all the answers, we're safe. even though the world feels like upside down, we're safe. And when we can feel that safety and that certainty, that's where we find our power.
People are saying, my gut feels more relaxed, surprisingly. I feel stimulated, shift to a 9. I feel tingly.
Amazing. So, and this is a thing, you know, we're doing this live, and we're also being, oh, wow, we have a 9 to a 4. That's incredible. We're also being general. We have this great tapping solution app where you can go on and tap for 10 minutes. And the results that we're seeing are incredible. Sometimes you can just do it once. Sometimes you can do it more than once to create that shift. But we're seeing, for example, we have a tapping meditation on anxiety, on releasing anxiety. And we've had over 260,000 plays on the tapping meditation. And just the way we did here, where we measured on a scale of 0 to 10, we do that in the app. And we're finding in 9 minutes, the average amount of decrease in anxiety is 41% in 9 minutes. We have another one called Quieting My Racing Mind, which is we have 119,000 plays. It's a 10-minute audio, and it's 49% of reduction in those 10 minutes. And so I really invite people, you had a little taste of it, and maybe you went from a 9 to a 4 like we're hearing. Maybe you're just feeling like a little bit more relaxed. But I hope that this is an invitation to you to experiment with this and to try it.
Absolutely. I love it. I think it's very powerful. It's something, it's one of those tools that once you learn it, oh, we might need to pop you out and pop you back one more time. Once you learn it, and once you've been applying it, once you've got into it, once you've been using it, it's one of the most powerful tools you can use that momentarily and almost instantly gets you a result, which is really important. Because like we said, you know, there's fear or anxiety in the mind, it's in the emotions, but it's also in the physical body. And this is one of those things that when we can get it out of the physical body, all of a sudden, sometimes the mind just releases by itself. Sometimes the emotions just let go by themselves. And it's like, shoot, all I had to do is help with the physical body. And then all of a sudden it opened and released in that moment, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
And so this is by far one of my favorite tools. And you guys have an app for this too, which you were mentioning. It's the Tapping Solution app in the App Store.
Yes, in the App Store or Google Play.
Very cool. So Google Play and the App Store. And then you have specific tapping modules for each of these pieces. So there's one for quieting your mind. There's one for, release. Was it releasing anxiety, you said?
Yeah, we have releasing anxiety. And right now, what we have that's completely free and unlocked is we have an entire section based on the anxiety that's happening around the coronavirus. There is a tapping meditation that's specific about the news and the overwhelm. Another one that's great, if you are still working, you still have to run your business, and it's very hard to go from the worry to productivity. We have a tapping meditation which allows you to really release the tension so you can better focus in your day.
Very cool. Very cool. I love that. And so they just download it from Google Play, download it from the App Store, and then right there, you just literally, just like we did right here, you hit play, and you just go through it, and it talks you through it and walks you through it at the same time. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And you can see there's an avatar which shows you what points to tap on. So you never have to memorize them.
Perfect. Someone saying, is there tapping for weight loss?
Yes. I don't have it on hand, but I actually wrote a book that you mentioned before. I'm a New York Times bestseller. The book that was a New York Times bestseller is a book called The Tapping Solution for Weight Loss and Body Confidence. I struggled with my weight and my confidence since I was 15 years old. That's the first time I started on a diet. And for years, I was trying to criticize myself thin and hate myself happy. And I really was stuck on the idea that it was all about willpower, that if I could just muster enough willpower, then I could do it. But I kept running this pattern where I'd get really motivated to do a diet. And then when life became overwhelming, I would just go right back to the binge eating and right back to food. When you have trouble with your own feelings, sometimes food is the only escape. It's the only time we give ourselves a permission to feel some pleasure. So all of a sudden you say, okay, well, be on a diet. It can be so overwhelming and so difficult and really leads to a lot of self-sabotage. Self-sabotage is misguided self-love. When I was binge eating, it was because at some point I just needed an escape. I needed a moment to relax. And now so many I hear with all the stress that's going on in your home, and we're doing the same thing. And that shame doesn't make us change. The self-criticism doesn't make us change. It keeps us stuck. But if we can find healthier ways and easier ways to reduce stress, then food won't be the only escape. But what's incredible is that there's research that's come out on what happens when you tap when it comes to food cravings. There is this incredible woman, Dr. Peta Stapleton in Bond University in Australia, who specializes in eating disorders, whether it's anorexia or people who are struggling with obesity. And with her university, she's done some incredible studies. The newest one was using tapping and monitoring brain scans. So what they did is they grabbed 15 adults who were struggling with obesity, and they put them in an MRI, and they showed them photos of salty and sweet foods. And as they look at those foods, you see in the images that the parts of their brain that are associated with pleasure and reward, as well as the parts about deprivation, are lighting up. So you're looking at food and your brain is lighting up around that food. They took these people, they had a control group that did nothing. And then they had, I think 10 of them who did the tapping. For 8 weeks, they did 1 hour a week. And after 8 weeks, they went back and they did the brain scans. And she has the photos, drpetastapleton.com. You see these photos, Jairek, and it's incredible. They're looking at the same photos, but their brain isn't lighting up in the same way. To the point when she was doing the study, she thought people were falling asleep in there because they were so calm around that food. When you have a craving, it is a physical experience and there's something firing off in the brain. Before, people were saying, oh, I don't have cravings for chocolate anymore. But now with these brain scans, we can actually show, yes, what they're saying is true. The brain is showing what they've been saying, that tapping works so great with cravings. And so in the Tapping Solution app, I have a whole section dedicated to cravings, as well as in the book. So if this is something you're struggling with, my biggest piece of advice is the shame isn't going to work. And the pressure and the struggle isn't going to work. We have to try self-compassion and ease. I know it's not like the sexy things everyone's talking about. We all want to just go, but we have to take a step back, look at our emotions, and take care of ourselves in order to navigate our relationship with food.
It's so important. It's so important. My mom struggled with this immensely. And it was one of the things that I realized that there was so much of trying to fix it with a pill, a swap, a diet, a fad, a trend, a this, a that. It's the next hottest, coolest, craziest, fanciest thing. And it really comes down to what you just said, which is when you slow down and you get to what's real with it and you allow yourself to release that, all of a sudden, brain imaging shows us your physical brain responds differently to the same thing in the future than it used to in the past. And that's
exactly
like an actual change.
And when that happens, it's not the same amount of willpower. And we only have a certain amount of willpower a day. That's why for some of us, we say, oh, I must not have willpower. Well, no, maybe we've built associations through the years around food. And we have wired ourselves to believe and to feel that this is our only escape, our only way to feel good. And so all of a sudden, yes, it's harder to choose something differently because of the emotional response we have when we have that food. And something that's important to realize, this was a big aha for me, was that I wasn't even getting the emotional pleasure from food that I thought I was, because I had so much shame around overeating that I would eat things so fast that it was like in 30 seconds, it was gone. And then it would be over. And it's like the pleasure maybe lasted 5 seconds. And then I felt all of these emotions. And I realized that I was so unconscious with my relationship with food. And so really what I talk about in my book is starting to look at this relationship that you have with food, like you said, taking that step back so that we can find more ease and not run the same pattern of forcing ourselves to change and then shaming ourselves when we're not perfect. I eat so much, like I don't have a strict diet anymore. Like I'm not on a diet, but I feel like I have control. And that's the difference. I don't feel like I'm depriving myself, but I feel like I have control. And in the past, I just didn't feel like I had that control around food until, again, I looked at the emotional aspect.
Absolutely. And I think I was talking to a client earlier yesterday from Australia, and we were joking. We were reminiscing on some past experiences. And I said, how many times did you choose to go through a drive-through of a specific restaurant because your brain said, I really want to see if I can win the Monopoly?
Right.
It had nothing to do with the food.
Right.
It had nothing to do with being hungry. It had nothing to do with anything logical about why someone would go eat something. It was our brain responding to a marketing campaign that said, if you come through our drive-through and buy a bunch of our stuff, it gets a little sticker that might win you a prize and maybe even the grand prize. And our brain, just like you're saying, is not only getting excited for certain foods or meals, but we don't realize the marketing that's put around this stuff that causes our brain to get excited over something that has nothing to do with the actual thing we're putting in our body. Like we're excited about Monopoly, not excited about putting this piece of food into our system here. And we don't realize that. And so our brain is excited and responding and animating inside and lighting up because we're like, oh, Monopoly. And then we end up fueling ourselves with something that's not necessarily that healthy in the moment, versus, like you said, if we can sit down and calm down, get back into that place, really get in touch and say, is that really the fuel my body needs right now or even wants right now? A lot of times we were joking about it. She told me, she's like, thanks for taking me back to my childhood. As we said that little joke for anyone who remembers it, but we were laughing. And the reason we were laughing is it's like, wow, how many times did I physically go there and buy something and eat it when I wasn't even actually hungry?
Oh, all the time. And actually, it's interesting because I was just interviewing Dr. Peta Stapleton, who did this research study, and she was saying that the brain scans have nothing to do with actual hunger. That even if you just ate and you see that ice cream and you have that trigger, you're still going to have the same, your brain firing off the same way, even if you're not hungry at all. I have a crazy story for you. So this is like so long ago. So I'm married now with a baby, but back, years ago, I lived in New York City and I was dating, and I went on a date with this guy who was the head of marketing for I think it was Twix, but it's like Twix and Snickers. There's all of them kind of are like the same company. And he said it's a very small marketing team. So I was asking him about marketing. He said something to me that horrified me. He said that they go out in homes to try to figure out how to best market to people. And he said to Americans, they want breaks. So it's all about like having a dessert and sneaking away and eating it by yourself. And so all the marketing is about that concept of a break, of like the sneaking and being alone and enjoying it. But then he said, to Americans who are Latinos, which I was born in Argentina, I come from a Latino family. He said for Latinos, it's all about community. And so the ads that were for Latinos were the same candy bar, but it was about coming together as a family and eating it together. But the amount of manipulation there is, even within cultures, of them studying, okay, what in your culture, what is it that makes you feel the most pleasure? And then, they pull on those heartstrings and we create those associations, and then we call them our childhood. Oh, that was my childhood. Those are the commercials I saw. So yeah, to your point, that's a huge aspect to it.
There's another piece here. You mentioned, and part of the struggle was with body image. Part of the struggle was learning how to release that and just connect with naturally and love who you naturally are. I noticed something when we were traveling the world. I was looking at billboards, specifically in different countries. And I was looking at the people in each country on the billboard. And I kept asking local people, are the people on that billboard from here? Like, are those people from Ecuador? Are those people from Panama? Are those people from Sweden? Are those people from, New York? Are those people from here? And the people in Panama were like, no, those people look more Brazilian. And the people in Brazil were like, no, no, those people are more like maybe Ecuador. And I realized there was never an image, for the most part, there's a few, but there was very, very, very few images of people from the place we were in on the billboard representing the epitome of beauty in that place.
Yeah.
And something clicked. And it was like, wow, they're selling something that's physiological impossible for the people here to become, so that the people here keep buying their stuff, hoping to someday become like that. They're taking people from a different place who have different bone structures, different looks, different ways of life, and showing you them so that you aspire to something that doesn't even exist in the place where you are.
Yes.
That's jacked up. No wonder people have issues. Like, if that's what I'm trying to become and that doesn't exist here, they literally are from another part of Earth. And the reason they're shaped or sized or looked that way is because that's what was needed to survive in that part of Earth at that point in history. Like, that's evolutionary. That's Darwinism. Like, we grew taller, shorter, stronger, hairy or not hairy, depending on where we were and what the temperature was and everything needed to survive. And I just found it odd that was happening to so many people without even the recollection or realization that it was going on. And so this stuff is happening. And to circle back around, tapping is one of the most efficient tools that you can start to release some of this even unknown, like under the surface kind of anxiety that builds up inside of us because of nonsense like that happening around us at all the time. We don't realize our brain is going, "Ooh, I want to be like that. Interesting." We don't realize our nervous system is picking up this tension because we see what that looks like and we can't figure out why we're not it.
And like you said, it's such a physical experience. And the challenge is we start on this path and we gain the knowledge. And so we get the logical side of, when I was struggling with my body confidence, there were people talking about body confidence, that weight didn't matter. And I wanted to feel that way and I wanted to feel more comfortable, but I just couldn't because it was so wired and so physical to me, like the anxiety, and there was layers of emotions. I had a mentor, someone I really respected, tell me, no one's going to listen to you until you lose weight. It shattered me. And the reason it shattered me is because that was what I was saying to myself since I was 14 years old. And so all of a sudden, I meet someone who's reflecting what I'm saying to myself. And it's like, oh, it's proof. Look, it doesn't matter. There's all these examples of how that is absolutely not the case. But when you believe something, you find someone to mirror it, and then you point to it when they prove you right, because we love to be proven right. And so I had so many emotions around that. And then the layer of emotion of, okay, well, if that's true, well, what if I lose weight? Then I'll have to go on stage. Well, then I'll have to date. And that feels scary too. There's so many layers when it comes to why we do something and why we don't. And the pressure, like I just have always put pressure on myself, and it served me in the sense that it brought me towards self-development at an early age, but it hurt me in the sense because my motivational drive was to change something because I thought it was broken. And so even though I was kind of reading these positive things, I was always coming from a place of, well, it's because I'm broken and I need to be fixed. When I started to do tapping, and the big thing about tapping was this idea of acceptance, like accepting how you feel, I would cry because I was just like, no, I don't want to accept how I am because I want to change. I want to fix myself. But the moment I started to accept these feelings and accept my reality, it's like all those complexities with all those rules of like, well, this means this, and all that pressure subsided, where suddenly I didn't have to live by those rules or feel them. It's like suddenly my entire world changed. I could see things differently, and I didn't have to play into games and old beliefs and stereotypes that I didn't want any part of.
Yep. There's a good question. It says, can tapping help even before you acknowledge what the source of your anxiety actually is?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me share a quick story. Because the very first time I learned tapping, I was really sick with a cold. And my brother came over and he's like, listen, I learned this thing. It's a little weird. Let's give it a try. He did not sell me on it at all. But I was like, okay. So I start tapping on these points, and I'm just focusing on how sick I feel, not focusing on any emotions, just the physical response. And as I'm tapping, I'm feeling more calm, which happens. Tapping calms your nervous system. And then I suddenly looked at him and I said, I don't want to get better. And he's like, what do you mean you don't want to get better? And it was because at that point, I was struggling so much. I said to him, I just feel like I'm doing everything right and nothing is going my way. And I just need a break. And in that moment, I realized that my body was speaking up for me. I was getting sick with this cold because I needed this break. I wasn't faking it. I didn't consciously decide I had a cold, but I burst into tears because when something is so true, you burst into tears. You have this real kind of physical, emotional response. And so we moved to tapping on, I don't want to get better. I feel stuck. And I just allowed myself to just be honest because these emotions were new to me. They were always there, but I wasn't so aware of them. I just thought I was sick. I didn't really know what my issue was. So this is what I recommend is if you don't know where to start, just do some simple tapping because as you calm your body and then you ask yourself again, honey, what's really going on? Usually from that place, we can get the answer. And the other aspect to this is even if you don't get the clarity and it's like everything feels overwhelming, you can at least nurture yourself with the tapping. So another quick story, I have a friend who's a nurse at Yale Hospital. Her husband got the coronavirus, had a very tough time. She had it. Luckily, she only lost her sense of taste and smell. Her 4-year-old daughter got it, vomited for a day. She's home taking care of her husband. She has it. Her daughter's sick. At the same time, she's getting emails from Yale Hospital about what's going on in the ICU. So she's managing a lot. Where do you start with that? Well, what happened is she went to sleep and 2:00 in the morning, she wakes up and her teeth are chattering and she realizes that she's having a complete panic attack. When your body goes into that panic, you can't think clearly. You can't get clear. Okay, what is it that's really bothering me? No, I mean, the body is taking over. And so she opened up the app right at the top for free for the coronavirus. We have one on panic attacks. She pressed it. She just followed along, tapping on these points, getting back into her body. So she didn't have to logically know what the problem is or think through it because the anxiety was so physical. She just focused on the physical sensations in order to get grounded and feel calm again.
That's so powerful. So powerful. And that question was great, which is, do you have to know what the stuff is you need to work through? And some of us, our body knows, but our brain might not want to admit it, or our heart might not want to say it out loud kind of stuff. And I think one of the most powerful tools with this is as you just keep doing it, it kind of just brings stuff to the surface, lets it do its thing, and then just kind of lets it go. And you're like, oh, that was really nice. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing. And it brought it up, just sifted the sand away, got it to the surface. You're like, oh my God, that's something. And then it just kind of let it go. And it's a way to just bring stuff up and let it go. My cousin's saying it forces you to come back to the center. How great. It absolutely does. Absolutely does. And this is one of my favorite things. So a couple of things here. Number one, what was the name of your book?
It's the tapping solution for weight loss and body confidence.
Okay, so there are a few actions we're going to do. Number one, we're going to go grab the tapping solution for body confidence.
For weight loss and body confidence. It's a long title. The tapping solution for weight loss and body confidence.
So if you know someone who struggles with that, go get them a copy and mail it to them as a gift so they can go through it right now while they're at home. Number two, all of us, we all can do this. I did it a few days ago. You're going to go to the App Store, whether it's the App Store or Google Play. You're going to type in the tapping solution, download this app, and there's a free segment specifically made for the coronavirus anxiety, tension. Now, as much as I like to say, I don't feel any of that, there's stuff online and it's fun. I've learned to laugh with it, even though it's tension in my body, where there's stuff online where, am I scared of it? No. Am I freaking out about it? No. Am I very blessed that I'm in that place? Yes. When I read some of what other people write about it, do I find a deep sense of anger that bubbles up? Yes. And I'm like, dang it, I thought I was more in control than that. But some people write some stuff a lot, and I'm like, I'm going to get them. And it's not that I don't agree with them. It's that it affects my family, or it affects someone I care about, and it makes them freak out. That upsets me. I can give a flying flip if I freak out, but if they get hurt or they freak out and they're worried now, and now I got to go help someone I love be unworried again, that's something that gets under my skin. I've learned. So that's something I would tap on, because I'm like, oh, there's no need for that. Like, yes, I can go care for them. Yes, I can intelligently help them through it. I don't need to be freaking out and getting angry because someone ruffled someone else's feathers in life. I should be able to go help them. I should be able to go tap with them, which is a tool I use with some of my family to go, hey, I know this seems a little weird, but come on, start with me here. And we start going through it. And they're like, what are we doing, Jay? And they always think I'm kind of the weird duck in the family, because I'm like, yeah, just tap here. Now come over here. And they're like, what are you trying to like trick me? Like, what are you doing? I'm like, no, just keep going.
Especially at this point.
And what happens though is at some point they literally look back and go, wow, I feel a lot better. Nothing there. And so something I look for that this falls into the category of is tools that work in the moment. I love stuff that works 6 months from now. I love stuff that if you do every single day for 20 minutes a day in the morning and at night for the next 10 weeks, it's totally going to help you. I love that stuff. But more importantly, I love stuff you can do right now and instantly feel the difference. You can feel between that 9 and that 4 from the start to the end. And you're like, oh. And so please go download the Tapping Solution app, use the free modules, join if you want to, and get the rest of them. But what I'd also ask you to do that's really important, if you know anyone else that's struggling with stress right now, which is most people, please send them a link, like click share and send it to them, so that if we can get more people to just kind of calm themselves through this chaos, my goodness, we can navigate it so much more intelligently right now. So as a favor to me, if you wouldn't mind, go download the app yourself, then take the share link, come back to your Instagram or come back to your Facebook, and just say, hey, if any of you are struggling with stress, please download this and use the free module, and then post that link on your Facebook and share it with everyone you can. Because I think you, as well as I, would love to see all of our friends, our family, our community calm the hell down and relax back into who they are, relax back into their nature, relax back into the favorite version of themselves that we love the most, where we can have fun and laugh and joke and be silly with them again. If we can get everyone to take a breath, do some tapping, get right back down to their best self, now we can creatively find some solutions to all the chaos together. So please do that as a gift. If you follow me here on Instagram or you're watching on YouTube or anything, do that as a gift from me. Please. And Jessica, thank you so much for sharing with everyone. From the time I met you and I busted your chops about stealing shit from my Instagram.
No, it was Facebook. This was a long time ago.
Before Instagram existed. So, well, there was a fun story. We'll share it with you real quick. Her brothers came up to me and teed it up.
I have to tell you what I said to my brothers first, if I may.
Go for it.
We're at a conference. We see you across the room, and I go, oh, I love Jairek. He's so great. And then I confessed, because at this time, Instagram didn't exist. It was just Facebook. But I would post every day, and sometimes I just didn't know what to do. And so I would go to Jairek's Facebook page and go like 3 months earlier, and then just be like, oh, he has the best clothes. I would take them. So I said to my brothers, I really like him, but I feel bad because I always go and I grab his stuff, and I feel a little guilty about it. So I told them that should I continue to at least remember.
And they're like, hey, here's the deal. Our sister loves your shit. She's over there. Don't look right now, but it's her. She literally, we need you to do this for us as a joke. And I was like, okay, what? And they said, here's what you're going to do. I need you to walk up to her. And I forget the exact words, but just be like, oh my God, you're the girl that steals my shit all the time.
So you said to me, you're like, I was like, how are you? And you said, oh, I'm really good. I'm really working hard to build my Facebook. And it's just really frustrating when people just take stuff. And so I just feel like so guilty, confess. I'm like, Jared, I'm so sorry. Sometimes, it's not all the time, but sometimes I go and I look at your old stuff and I grab it and I reshare it. And I'm like confessing to you. And all of a sudden I just see this like grin, like you're trying so hard not to laugh. And it dawns on me and I go, oh my God, I hate that. And I look over to my brothers.
They were dying laughing. So
amazing.
That was our first moment of connecting in person, which was a lot of fun and very silly. And I think the purpose of the platform is to take stuff and share it in other places. But that was a very good setup by her brothers. I still cherish that. It was very silly and very fun.
It was great.
Again, just to wrap this up, thank you so much. And thank you for joining us, everyone. Thank you for listening. I'm going to say it one more time. As a gift from, for me, for Jessica, for anyone, your friends, your family, your cherished, your loved ones, your relatives, your coworkers, please go to the App Store, go to Google Play, download the Tapping Solution app. Then you can go back to the same App Store link, click share or the little up button. It'll give you a link. Take that over to Facebook, take that over to Instagram, take it over to LinkedIn. My God, put it everywhere. And just say, if you're struggling with stress, please click this link, download the app, and do the free exercise. You'll thank me later, and hit send. And if you do that, I guarantee we can lower the stress level and anxiety of so many people around us, and we can get back to our best selves, and we can get back to having fun with each other and enjoying each other's companies and bringing back all the goodness that many of us miss right now. So please go do that. I really appreciate it in advance. Jessica, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing with us and having some fun here. We will see you all later on Instagram. Go do that right now. Thank you. Thank you. For everyone watching over here, please go download the app. Go share it on your Instagram. Share it on your Facebook. Give it to a family member. Text it to them. Tweet it to them. LinkedIn it to them. Doesn't matter how you get it to them, but have them download it. It's just such a gift to society right now for them to take the time to do the tapping, release all the chaos in their body, get back to their best self, be grounded, and have the ability to, reconnect in a beautiful way like we have been before all this chaos started. So please go do it. And I really, really thank you for joining us.